So Championship football is back and it's also deadline day. We've got a lot to talk about today. So guys, welcome back to our weekly Championship score predictions. As always, get your score predictions in the comments down below for a chance to be involved in the next video and to get yourselves entered into the prediction league as well. A big weekend of fixtures coming up after this international break, and as well as that, like I just mentioned, it is also transfer deadline day. Now, I am currently recording this video on 12 o'clock on Friday, so when you guys will be watching this, more deals will have gone through. We'll have a full comprehensive review coming out next week of the transfer window, but just bear in mind that some deals will go through after I've recorded today's video. And before we do hop into anything, the big shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. As always, you can find the new OneFootball app in the top line of the description down below. Really handy app to have as we are now back into Championship action. If you want to get live goal updates to your phone whenever a goal goes in the Championship, OneFootball is the place to stay on top of everything. And as we now have transfer deadline day, if you want to keep up to date with all the deals going on around the Championship, OneFootball is also the place to go ahead and do that. You can read up on some of your new signings, check out their stats from the season as well, which is always really handy, so I'll leave a link down below. But without any further ado, let's hop into these fixtures. Starting out with tonight's game, we see Derby going up against Watford. Now, I don't see all too many goals being scored in this one. Derby's last fixture before the break was that 1-0 away victory at Norwich. Really good performance in that one, where they sort of went against the philosophy that Koku has implemented so far, but it was a really effective style that they went with. Very much looking to sit back and look to hit Norwich on the counter-attack. I'd be interested to know if they're going to employ a similar game plan in this one against the Watford side, who haven't particularly been free scoring so far, but they've been good at keeping the ball out of the back of the net. They'll be looking to bounce back from their defeat last time out against Reading. Now, with Derby, things have been very interesting on the transfer front. They've let Jack Marriott go out on loan this season to Sheff Wednesday. It's been a shame that things haven't really worked out there with injuries, and they brought in a 34-year-old Colin Kazan-Richards. I don't know what to make of this at Derby at the moment. It's also not looking too likely as of recording that they're going to be getting Harry Wilson either, so it's been a bit of a weird end to this transfer window for Derby. In terms of how I see this game going, I do see it being fairly low scoring. I think that both defences have shown a little bit more than their forward lines this season. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, though I wouldn't be too surprised to see it end 1-0 either way. I don't think there'll be all too much to separate these two. With Thief saying it'll be 2-0 Derby. Next up, and then into Saturday's games, we've got Barnsley going up against Bristol City. Tough to predict Barnsley at the moment, with them still not having the manager after the departing Gerhard Struber. They have completed the signing so far on deadline day, though. Herbie Kane coming in from Liverpool on a permanent basis. I'm a big fan of Herbie Kane. I thought he came into what was quite a difficult environment at Hull last season, but showed some real moments of quality. Got 2 goals in the 6 starts he had for Hull last season. Moved over for just over £1 million as well. I think for the 21-year-old, that's a really good deal for Barnsley. Adds into that youthful recruitment. But on Saturday, it's not going to be an easy game. They're going up against high flyers Bristol City, where the international break probably came at a bit of a bad time for Bristol City because they were on an absolute roll, and sometimes that can just throw aside off their momentum a little bit. Now, for Bristol City, the departure of Casey Palmer looks to be an interesting one for me. He was always going to find it difficult to get back into this side with how well Jamie Patterson's playing at the moment. We spoke about him in the last video, but I still think he had something to offer there. Bristol City fans will be interested to know what you make of that departure. In terms of a score prediction here, I think that Bristol City just have it a little bit more in order at the moment. I expect Barnsley to continue to try and press them, but they just have a little bit too much going forward. I'm going to go 2-1 Bristol City in that game, with Thief saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Next up then, we got Birmingham against Sheff Wednesday. I don't see all too much being in this game. Now, Sheff Wednesday have had an interesting deadline day so far. They completed the loan signing of Jack Marriott coming from Derby for the season. Now, I like this deal quite a lot, actually. I think that with the way that Sheff Wednesday like to play, Marriott will fit into this system. You know, they play with that 2 up top. It's the sort of traditional big man, little man now, with Callum Patterson and then potentially Jack Marriott coming in as the alternative to Josh Windass up front. Things at Derby didn't really work out for one reason or the other. You know, injuries didn't particularly help him. He had some real hot streaks in terms of form, but didn't particularly fit into that 1 up front style. I think that with the 2 at Wednesday, he could be quite effective. It also looks, as of recording, that they're going to get the deal for Aidan Flint over the line as well. So, listen, at the start of the season, I wasn't too sure on Sheff Wednesday's chances of survival, but the more they built on things and the way they've actually started the season, I was a little bit more optimistic for their chances. But away at St Andrews won't be easy. Birmingham have been very rigid so far this season, albeit not as free-flowing going forward as they probably like to be. They don't give away many chances to the opposition. I like what they've done with their recruitment over the summer with Aita Karanka. I think that they're building in the right direction. And for this one, I see it heading towards a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 with Fever saying be 1-0 Birmingham. Next up then to potentially the game of the weekend, we got Blackburn against Nottingham Forest. Now I say that because Blackburn have been free scoring one of the best sides to watch so far this season, albeit not last time against Cardiff, up against this Forest side where it's going to be Chris Hughton's first game in charge. Now a lot of transfer activity for both sides it seems on deadline day. For Nottingham Forest, as of recording, we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with the Anthony Knockout deal. For Blackburn Rovers, however, they have got 2 deals over the line. Barry Douglas comes in as a left back for this season, and Tom Tribal from Norwich as well. Both additions which I've got to say, I've really liked what Blackburn have done with their recruitment this season. I think it's been targeted. I think that they've strengthened the core group of players they've had there, whilst not being a complete overhaul. You know, the 4-3-3 system that they've been playing has been so effective this season. I think that they've got 2 players there who are going to go into the starting 11 and strengthen them almost immediately. You know, Tom Tribal was a key part of that Norwich promotion side. Barry Douglas, while not being potentially as good as he was at Wolves at Leeds, still a very capable left back at this level. And I think that Blackburn now, with the addition of Daniel Ayala earlier on in the window as well, backline's looking strong, and we all know they like to score goals for fun. We'll wait and see if Chris Hughton can have that manager bounce about him, but it's a tough one with how poor Forest have been so far this season, and still with quite a few new players to gel in there. I still feel like even under Hughton it'll take a little bit of time before the ball does get rolling. Score prediction time, I'm gonna fancy Blackburn. I think for this one it's a tough fixture for his first one in charge. I'm gonna go 2-1. I do think he'll turn things around there, but not an easy way to start, whereas Fever's saying it'll be 2-0 Forest. Next up then we got Bournemouth going up against QPR. I expect a few goals to be scored in this one. Both sides have showed that goal scoring touch so far this season. Now, in terms of deadline day for these 2 sides, it's looking like it'll be more of a case of seeing who departs rather than seeing who comes in. For Bournemouth, we've got the whole Josh King situation, which has rumbled on for pretty much the entirety of this transfer window. We'll wait and see if he gets a move or not. And then for QPR, there's the Ryan Manning situation, which has sparked up once again. As of recording, it's looking like Swansea have been the club that's been most interested. So I'll be keeping a keen eye on them throughout the day. But in terms of the game itself, Bournemouth last time out, really impressive against Coventry. Dan Gosling with a brace in that one. We could also be seeing Danjuma returning from his injury in this one as well. I think that that's going to be some battle, you know. Danjuma for Bournemouth and then Asai Samuel for QPR, 2 of the best sort of flair dribblers in the league going up against each other for this one. QPR last time out a draw against Sheffield Wednesday. Macaulay Bonne off the bench to rescue a point in that one. I'll be interested to see if throughout the season Bonne and Dykes can form some sort of striker partnership. I know that QPR like to play a 1 up top, but I think there is quite a bit of scope with that one. In terms of a score prediction, I think I am just edging towards Bournemouth. I think they've got a little bit more about them at the moment. I'm going to go 2-1 to the home side, with Thief saying it'll be 1-0 QPR. Next up then to Brentford against Coventry. Now a lot of drama and speculation around Brentford and the future of Side Ben Rama at the moment. By the time you guys are watching this, there's probably going to be some sort of decision that's been made on the player. As of recording, there seems to be a fee that's been agreed. However, it's now been reported that he's failed a medical, so all sorts of drama going on with that deal. I'm just going to assume that he's not going to be involved at the game at the weekend. Now, for Brentford, poor last time out, you have to say. They were clinical with their chances going forward. Ivan Toney bagged a brace against Preston, but that second half crumbled defensively, and this Brentford side can be got at, which Coventry will take a bit of positivity from. Now, for Coventry, they will be missing Gustavo Hamer after his red card against Bournemouth. That's going to be an obvious miss, but where they can hurt Brentford is from wide areas, those 2 wing-backs who have been so crucial to the goals that they've scored so far this season. As we all know, Brentford like to play with their full-backs quite high on, so there is an area there out wide where they can catch Brentford out, but with the sort of game I expect it to be, I expect Brentford to have a lot of the ball for this one, looking to open up those sorts of little pockets of space around the box. And listen, even without Ben Rama, it's still a fantastic forward 3 for the Championship with Godos and Bimo and Ivan Toney, who's now well off the mark for them. For a score prediction, I think I am edging towards Brentford. I think that with that suspension for Hamer, Coventry will feel that in midfield a little bit. I'm going to go 2-0 to the home side. I think they'll bounce back from last time against Preston, whereas Thief's saying it'll be a 0-0 draw. Next up to Luton against Stoke, there's a few rumours flying around Luton at the moment in terms of incomings and departures. I'm interested to see if anything does get over the line there. In terms of Stoke, we're all waiting to see what happens with the Jack Butland situation, and if they do let him go, who they actually bring in as cover. There's still talk going on about Angus Gunn from Southampton. Now, in terms of the game itself, obviously it's bigged up this one as the Nathan Jones derby. He'll want to get one over on his former employers. So far this season, these have been 2 clubs who don't give away all too many chances to the opposition. I think that the way that Stoke have played so far this season, they're probably a little bit more effective away from home than they are at home, letting the home side come onto them a little bit and then being able to hit them with that sort of 5 at the back and the 2 wing backs they've been playing. So for this one, I don't really see all too much being in it. I see it being a relatively low scoring one where there's going to be one goal either way. I'm backing it to head towards a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 in this game, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Stoke. Next up we then go to the Riverside as we see Middlesbrough taking on Reading. Now a tough prediction to make on deadline day. Both sides have been linked with a few players at the moment. Middlesbrough especially, they've been linked to quite a few strikers, and Yannick Bolasie as well. Imagine if they managed to pull that deal off. Obviously we have seen him in the Championship before for Aston Villa. I'd love to see that. Bolasie on one side, Roberts on the other. I think that could be a really good dynamic duo for Borough on either wing. In terms of Reading, they've also been linked with a winger or two. Van La Parra has been the latest name mentioned with Reading, but they seem to have their squad in order now for the season, and I say it's a tough prediction to make because Middlesbrough so far this season have been a really sort of efficient team who's been tough to break down and has got a bit of more of a goal touch about them, good from set pieces with those Paddington there deliveries. But Reading have just been so efficient so far. They don't tend to create all too many chances per 90, but when those chances roll around they seem to take them more often than not. Also Lucas João getting back to full fitness as well, that's going to be big for them. Oh, it's one that's on the knife edge. Edging towards Reading, but I don't feel too easy about backing against Middlesbrough at home. I'm going to go 2-1 Reading. FIFA's going to say it'll be 2-0 Reading, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Borough get something from that. Next up then we have Rotherham going up against Norwich. Now one of the amazing things about this transfer window, and something that I don't think anyone expected to happen, was Emi Buendia still being a Norwich City player, and despite some of the players that they have lost, keeping that core group of players together. You know, Buendia's still there, Cantwell's still there, Max Aaron's still there. It's looking promising. However, one frustration for Norwich is the injury to Onel Hernandez. He's out for up to 12 weeks now. I think that Hernandez was one of Norwich's more brighter sparks going forward in their first few fixtures. On that left-hand side, always looked to cause problems with his trickery. That will now mean that Placheta, I'd imagine, will be coming into the starting 11. And it's not going to be the easiest of matches against this Rotherham side, who will frustrate Norwich, quite similar to how Derby played against them. I think they'll be quite happy to sit in quite deep. I can't help but feel like this is the perfect sort of tailor-made game for someone like Jordan Hugill, where Rotherham will be quite deep in their own half. Hugill as that physical striker to bring others into play off him. I think this is the perfect game made for him, but we'll wait and see if Daniel Farke is brave enough to give him that start. For a score prediction, I'm edging towards Norwich. I think that they may have learnt a lesson from last time against Derby. I'm going to go 1-0 to the away side, whereas FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Next up then, we got Swansea going up against Huddersfield. Now Huddersfield look to be slowly getting their act together. However, deadline day is going to be an interesting one for them. I'm interested to see over the next few hours if they get any deals over the line. The big departure from Huddersfield was one that we all expected really. Colin Grant finally got that move finalised to West Brom. Looking into what that squad's in need of at the moment, attacking reinforcements. I think a striker is needed on deadline day. A winger wouldn't go amiss either. I have seen they've been linked to Rolando Aarons at Newcastle United. Swansea as well also look to be fairly busy on deadline day. It's looking like a deal for Casey Palmer will get over the line. I remain to be quite a big fan of Casey Palmer. I think consistency's been a bit of an issue for him, but in the right system I still think he could thrive at this level, which he could definitely do at Swansea. They've also been linked to Fabio Barini as well, could you imagine that? And a couple of other players here and there. It doesn't look too likely that Harry Wilson will be on his way to Swansea anymore, but for a score prediction for this one, I think I am edging towards Swansea. I think from what they've shown so far this season, it's been a good defensive outfit, and up until this point they probably should have scored more goals than they've actually gone ahead and got. So for a score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 Swansea. FIFA's going to agree with me on that one. And then we go to Wycombe as they're still in search of their first points of the season as they go up against a tough Millwall side. Not going to be an easy fixture this one. Gareth Ainsworth has been speaking about working over the international break with this group of players, and hopefully now it's the time for them to turn around their fortunes. But like I say, I think this one's going to be a tough one. Millwall have been good at the back so far this season, albeit lacking a little bit of firepower going forward. They have been linked with Kenneth Zohore on deadline day. That could be a decent deal if they manage to get that one over the line on loan for the season from West Brom. Jed Wallace has really been their figurehead going forward so far this season. He's going to be the danger man that Wycombe are going to have to look out for. In terms of Wycombe, there's been elements of their performances which have been alright in terms of asking a few questions to the opposition, but it's been silly blunders at the back, individual mistakes which have been costing them games, you know, conceding a goal early on and then their heads drop and they can't find a way back into the game. I'm going to play it safe for this one. I do see Millwall winning it. I'm going to go 2-0 to the away side, with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Big chance for Wycombe, but I'm not sure I can see it. And then finishing today's video off with North End going up against Cardiff on Sunday, this game being the one on Sky at the weekend. Now, an interesting fixture. Cardiff probably involved in one of the biggest transfer stories going around the league at the moment. It's looking as if, as of recording, that Harry Wilson will be on his way to Cardiff for the season. A loan fee of around 1.2 million, and Cardiff actually covering his 60 grand a week wages. And I understand Cardiff have let go of some pretty big earners in this transfer window, but even so, big figures being put up by Cardiff here. And I mean, listen, they get a fantastic play. You know, last time he was in the Championship for Derby, he got 20 goal contributions. I do think it was an area of the squad, you know, a bit of creativity that they were lacking. You know, Lee Tomlin hasn't quite looked at himself so far this season. He'll be suspended for this one after the red card against Blackburn Rovers, but decent side defensively. And so far this season, Preston have had a few issues with scoring goals at home. Both home games that we've had so far this season, we've lost 1-0. I'm hoping that we'll take quite a bit of confidence from the Brentford game, putting 4 goals past them. You know, Scott Sinclair really seems to be growing in confidence game by game now, but I don't think there'll be all too much in this one. I'm gonna edge towards a draw, actually. I'm gonna say it'll finish 1-1 with FIFA agreeing with me on that one. I just don't think there'll be all too much in it. I would be interested to see if Harry Wilson does play though, but yeah, I'm gonna go for a draw in that one. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. It is always massively appreciated, and do get your score predictions in the comments down below for a chance to be involved in the next video. It's going to be a good day, transfer deadline day. There's no doubt going to be loads of stories that are breaking throughout, and we will be rounding up all those transfers in next week's video. But apart from that, guys, thanks for sticking around and watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.